we're doing kind of a local history. I try to do pretty local things for the Washington, Oregon, and such like that because this is my home. This is a woman who was a quack, and there's going to be some graphic pictures, I'm going to warn you now. I try not to hide pictures because I feel like they're very important to the story. Like, I'm sure you saw some graphic imagery, John Bonet and stuff like that, but the thing is, it's very important for you to see the postmortems of the story and the crime scene, because I know in my case it's very interesting because it tells the story more and you get more of an idea. You can't say, oh, she got, tasered. Well, it's easier to see the markings and compare them to, like they said, that maybe the railroad ties from the toy was what did it. Anyway, try not to rant, but I like to talk to you guys too. So please like, subscribe, and share. This is just a hobby. I find each of these subjects very interesting. I love history. I love biographies. I love everything. And I also wanted to let you guys know a little bit about me too. Sometimes when I'm having a hard time reading or when I'm having a hard time talking, I need to remember to slow down because my brain works faster than my mouth. I have ADD really bad, and I usually take it at work. I don't take it in the middle of the day when I'm at home. And so I'm not slowing down, it's like, it'll come, like, I'll be able to read it on paper perfectly fine, but it'll just be gobbledygook coming out of my mouth, and I'm sorry. I try to use educational words that people may not know to help you educate you, as well as I just like words. And but sometimes they are hard to pronounce, and I like to do subjects that not everybody knows, and so a lot of the words and the names are very difficult. And so I just want to let you guys know that's why. And I don't have a lot of time throughout the day. I like to bring out the videos that I do right away because I don't have a lot of space on my phone, for one. For two, I get so excited about the video I just did that I just want you guys to see it. And so I don't edit, and I feel like it shows more of a genuine person when I do edit. You get to see all the mess ups. Although a few videos ago it was supposed to be a cut there, but it was at the beginning. I meant to restart, but apparently it didn't restart. So anyways, I'm just 3 minutes of gobbledygook. So anyways, you see I just dropped Tommy off the last video. So this is day 4 of Scaroween, and I hope you enjoy it because this is a very interesting, very sad case. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of graphic pictures, and I'm extremely sorry, but it is part of the story and very important that you see what this crazy quack did to this person. I'm surprised Holiday, he does a lot of quackery videos, has not done anything on her yet, and he doesn't know about her yet. But I mean, she's dead. He does more like newer ones, so maybe that's part of it too. But it's just a very interesting conversation piece, I guess. So enough bullshit. So Dr. Linda Bierfield Hazard was a sadistic and greedy quack who convinced patients that only by starving themselves for months at a time could they regain, geez Louise, their health. And unsurprisingly, many of her patients died of starvation. Literally, they'll talk about an entry of a diary. They literally were fed hardly anything. And somehow that's supposed to help your health. I don't know if you've ever not gotten food for a while. You feel shitty. Like, I haven't even eaten today yet, and I'm like, I need to eat. Let's see here. At 18, she married and had 2 children, but in 1898, she left her husband and children to pursue her career in Minneapolis. Although she had only a little training as let's see. Although she had only a little training as an osteopathic nurse, Hazard didn't hesitate to call herself a doctor, snapping at the news reporters covering her trial. I have told you time and time again, it is Dr. Hazard. Miss Hazard is my mother-in-law. Somehow she was licensed to practice medicine in Washington through a loophole that grandfathered in some practitioners of alternative medicine without degrees. That sounds responsible. According to her book, The Science of Fasting, which might be an interesting read, I've never read it, but don't follow it. She studied under Edward Hooker Dewey, MD, a champion of fasting. Even in religious context, I really do not understanding this. I mean, maybe in religious context, it's just to make you grateful, but I love food too much. I can't do it. She appeared to have killed her first patient there in 1902, and around the time of her divorce became final. After the coroner determined that death was caused by starvation, he tried to get her prosecuted, but since she wasn't licensed to practice medicine, she wasn't held accountable. When investigators asked what had happened to the victim's valuable rings, Hazard was evasive. There was only bad publicity after she met and married the man of her dreams, Samuel Chrisman Hazard, a West Point graduate who had ruined a promising military career by misappropriating army funds. What a winner. A drunk leecher and swindler, he had married twice before and hadn't bothered to divorce at least one of the wives when he married Linda. How back then were they allowed to do that? There was a highly publicized trial for bigamy, which ended in a 2-year prison sentence for Sam. After Sam had finished his sentence in 1906, the couple set out for Washington State to start over. No, stay over there, please. Linda Hazard began practicing in Seattle, commuting by ferry from a 40-acre spread in Kitsap County town of Olalea on the shores of Puget Sound. There's a lot of Native American names, and I am part Native American, but I don't know the language. Just like Spanish, I'm part Spanish, but I don't know the language. Sorry. On the shores of Puget Sound, she named Wilderness Heights. She planned to build a big sanitarium there someday. She created a sanitarium, Wilderness Heights, in Olalea, Washington. Let's just repeat it. Sometimes I have hard. I do this like my spare time, where patients fasted for days, weeks, or months on a diet. Her patients were allowed to eat nothing but small amounts of diluted tomato, asparagus juices, and occasionally a small teaspoon of orange juice. They lost weight rapidly. That is not much food. That's not even food at all. Locals, including freethinkers and Theosophists embraced her medical theories. One of them was Hazard's first known Washington victim, Daisy Maud Haglund. She was born in 1870 and died in 1908. A Norwegian whose immigration parents once owned a key point. After a 50-day fast under Hazard's direction, she died on February 26, 1908, at the age of 38. She left behind a 3-year-old son, Ivar. So, 50 days of just pretty much a liquid diet. Not even really a liquid diet. You get orange juice maybe once a day. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable. We need a couch. And like, that is not... Imagine how miserable she was. Ivar Haglund would go on to make his name and fortune with feeding millions of people as the owner of successful seafood restaurants. Other victims soon followed: Ida Wilcox in 1908 and Blanche B. Tyndall and Viola Heaton in 1909. Miss Maud Whitney succumbed in 1910 when civil engineer Earl Edward Erdman took the cure in 1911 and died of starvation 3 weeks later. The Seattle Daily Times headline read, "Woman MD kills another patient." But patients kept on coming. Frank Southard, a law partner at the firm of Morse, Southard and Shipley, a C.A. Harrison and publisher of Alaska Yukon magazine, died under Hazard's care a few months later, along with Ivan Flux, an Englishman who had come to America to buy a ranch and who had fasted for 53 days. 53 days. During his fast, Hazard got control of some of his cash and property, and his family was told he died with $78 left in his name. 53 days. So that just tells you how long it takes you to die with the food. Authorities tried to step in when Lewis Ellsworth Radar, former legislator and publisher of a magazine called Sound Views, began wasting away. Hazard had treated him at the Outlook Hotel in 1911, and health inspectors tried to convince him to leave, but he refused. Hazard spirited him away to a secret location where the 5'11" tall man died weighing less than 100 pounds. 5'11", that's taller than me, and he weighed less than 100 pounds. The health director of Seattle said he couldn't interview since Dr. Hazard was licensed and the patients were willing participants in her deadly therapy. She had many loyal followers and a commanding personality. Some of her patients were afraid of her and couldn't bring themselves to disobey her, but the health director did keep an eye on her, in case she treated any of children, at which point she said he would step in. So, just don't kill any children. You can kill all the adults you want, because they're dumb enough to follow you. But just don't kill the children, because I guess they're unable to make their own decisions. The pattern was becoming distressingly familiar. The pattern was becoming distressingly familiar. Patients were put up in Seattle hotels or in cabins on Dr. Hazard's Alola property. Autopsy reports listed starvation as the cause of death, unless Linda Hazard performed the autopsy. She's performing her own autopsies, in which case anything but starvation would appear in the cause of death. Duh, because she's starving them. There were one exception to the pattern. In 1909, a 26-year-old Eugene Stanley Watkins's decomposing body was found on the Hazard's property. The son of a British lord had died as a result of a bullet in his head, a presumed suicide. Yeah, if I was starving to death, I think I'd want to too. Or start eating the bodies. Linda Hazard had a power of attorney over the young man's estate, and she wired his lawyer complaining she needed more of his funds to pay his bill at the mortuary. Later, the British vice consul in Tacoma speculated that he had been shot by the Hazards, who were frustrated to learn that despite his aristocratic family, he wasn't rich. Hazard said disease could be cured by fasting, allowing the digestive system to rest, and cleansed, removing impurities from the body. As sad as there's people that still are quacks like this. Fasting, she maintained, it could cure anything from toothache to tuberculosis. The real source of all disease was impure blood brought on by impaired digestion. There was other popular proponents of fasting around at the time. Hazard says she had studied with one of them, Dr. Edward Hooker Dewey, author of The Gospel of Health. But Hazard added some embellishment of her own. Her regimen included daily enemas that went on for hours and involved up to 12 quarts of water. Well, at least you're getting your water. Oh, wait, is that for the enemas? Yeah, that's for the enemas. 12 quarts of water. So, they're literally cleaning out their colon, too. They're literally getting everything out of the body they possibly have left in there. So they're completely not getting any nutrition whatsoever. Patients were heard to cry out in pain during these procedures. The third part of her therapy was massage that consisted of Hazard, a wiry woman said to be stronger than the average man, beating her fist against the patient's foreheads and backs. One alarmed witness reported her doing so vigorously while shouting, "Illuminate, illuminate." Yeah. While some patients survived in publicly slaying her praises, more than 40 patients died under her care. Hazard claimed that they all died of undisclosed or hitherto-undiagnosed illnesses. Illnesses, such as cancer or cirrhosis of the liver. Her opponents claim that they all died of starvation. Local residents refer to the place as Starvation Heights. She assured her people that her method was panacea for all manner of ills. Okay, she was able to rid the body of toxins that cause imbalances in the body. During her medical career, Hazard wrote 2 books about what she believed to be the science behind fasting and how it could cure diseases. Fasting cannot cure diseases, people. Please do not fast. That was just, religious reasons, I understand, kind of. The body needs nutrition and food. The first book that she wrote was Fasting for the Cure of Disease, which was written in 1908. In 1908, deaths. This is the list of, there's a list of each year of how many people died and stuff. 1908, yes, Miss Elgin Cox, Daisy Maud Hoglin, mother of Ivers restaurant founder Ivers Hoglin, whose official cause of death was stomach cancer. She would have starved to death without Hazard's assistance. Ida Wilcox, and then in 1909, Blanche B. Tyndall, Viola Heaton, Eugene Stanley Wacklin died from a bullet in the head on Hazard's property. Whether she was responsible for the shooting remains unknown, though it is speculated to be the cause. In 1910, there was Maud Whitney, Earl Edward Erdman, and L.E. Radar. On March 28, 1910, Earl Edward Erdman, a citizen of Seattle civil engineer, died of starvation in the Seattle General Hospital. He kept a diary which detailed Hazard's treatment during the preceding weeks. That provided insight into the treatment Hazard prescribed to her patients. The following are excerpts from his diary. So, on February 1st, he saw Dr. Hazard and began treatment that day. No breakfast, mashed soup dinner, mashed soup supper. I don't know what mashed soup is, but it's probably like some type of vegetable made into a really thick soup. February 5th through the 7th, 1 orange for breakfast. At least got some vitamin C. Mashed soup dinner and mashed soup supper. February 8th, 1 orange breakfast, a mashed soup dinner, and mashed soup supper. Again. February 9th through the 11th, 1 orange for breakfast, strained soup dinner, strained soup supper. So it's even less than mashed soup. At least mashed soup you have some type of consistency. This is just water, basically. February 12th, 1 orange for breakfast, 1 orange for dinner, and 1 orange for supper. 1 orange. February 13th, my birthday, but not in genders. 2 orange for breakfast, no dinner, and no supper. 2 oranges the whole day. February 14th, 1 cup of strained tomato broth at 6 p.m. 1 cup. Probably a coffee cup full. Well, 1 cup is probably like about a coffee cup. I guess I've never measured it. Alright, February 15th, 1 cup hot strained tomato soup, night and morning. Strained. So you don't even get the thickness of the tomato soup to soothe your stomach. February 16th, 1 cup hot strained tomato soup in the AM and PM. Slept better last night, head quite dizzy, eyes yellow, strained and red. streaked in red. Probably because you're going through jaundice or liver failure because... February 17th, ate 3 oranges today. Oh, damn, 3 oranges. February 19th, called on Dr. Dawson today at his home. Slept well yesterday night. Doesn't say what he ate, though. February 20th, ate strained juice of 2 small oranges at 10 a.m. So now we're not even getting the orange itself. You're getting just strained orange juice. DTL day, ate strained juice of 2 small oranges at 5 p.m. And they're small oranges. They're not even the big navel oranges. February 21, ate 1 cup settled and strained tomato broth. Backache today, just below ribs. It's your kidneys, honey. February 22nd, ate juice of 2 small oranges at 10 a.m. Backache today in right side, just below ribs. Maybe your gallbladder? February 23rd, slept but little last night. Ate 2 small oranges at 9 a.m. Went after milk and felt very bad. Ate 2 small oranges, 6 p.m. February 24th, slept better Wednesday night. Kind of frontal headache in a.m. Ate 2 small oranges, 10 a.m. Ate 1.5 cups hot tomato soup at 6 p.m. Heart hit up to 95 minutes and sweat considerable. So you're going through heart failure. February 25th, slept pretty well Thursday night at 1.5 cup tomato broth, 11 a.m. At 1.5 cup tomato broth, 6 p.m. Pain in right below ribs. Again, maybe your gallbladder. February 26th, did not sleep so very well to Friday night. Pain in right side, just below rib and back. There's your kidneys. Pain quit at night. Ate 1.5 cups tomato broth at 10:45 a.m. Ate 2.5 small oranges. I'm guessing that's supposed to be plump, but this is pump. Small oranges at 4:30 p.m. Felt better afternoon than for the last week. These are actually kind of 8. Best diet continued more or less unchanged until his hospitalization on March 28th. He died that afternoon, just before his co-worker was to transfuse blood. So, literally 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. Let's see, in 1911, Frank Southard, C.A. Harrison, Ivan Fox, Louis Ellsworth, Radar, Claire Wellington. Dorothea and Claire Wellington, 2 sisters in their early 30s, were rich British hypochondriacs, had financial control of large estate. I'll post a picture of what happened to Dorothea. You get a nice, beautiful picture. It's awful because she actually ends up getting out. Wait, I'm completely jumping the gun. Large estate. While visiting Victoria, BC, they read an advertisement for Hazard's book in Seattle newspaper. They ordered it and also received her brochure prompting her Institute of National Therapeutics in Alola. They decided to go and take her fasting cure, but didn't tell relatives as the family was already scornful of their interest in unorthodox medicine. In February 1911, they visited Hazard at her office in the Northern Bank and Trust Building, where they were told that the sanitarium wasn't ready yet, but that she would treat them in Seattle. The sisters settled in at the Buena Vista apartment under the care of Dr. Hazard's osteopathic nurse. They survived mostly on thin vegetable broth. Dr. Hazard arrived regularly to provide hours-long enemas and pummeling massage. She also began to make inquiries about the sisters' business affairs and offered to store the woman's diamond rings and real estate deeds in her office safe. Of course she does. By April, the sisters were emaciated and delirious. They were transported to Alola by twin ambulances and a private launch. Just before the ambulance set out for the dock, Dr. Hazard's private attorney obtained a shaky signature from Claire and was codicil to her, with leaving a monthly stipend of £25 per year in the Hazard Institute, adding that in the case of death, she wanted her body cremated under the charge and direction of Linda Buford Hazard. Oh, let's get rid of your evidence. On April 30th, the sister's childhood nanny, Margaret Conway, received a cryptic telegram summoning her to visit them in Alola. She set a sail from Sydney, Australia a week later, arriving in Seattle on June 1st. Sam Hazard met the boat and took Conway to Linda Hazard's Seattle office. There, Conway was told that Clara was dead and Dorothea was insane. She was also taken to the ER Butterworth Sons mortuary and shown an embalmed body she did not recognize as Clara. Then she was taken to Alola for a reunion with Dorothea, who was by now a human skeleton living alone in a rough cabin no better than a shack. Like I said, I will definitely be showing pictures. Dorothea immediately begged to be taken away, but the next day she withdrew her request and insisted that the cure was doing her a world of good. Margaret stayed with Dorothea, hoping to convince her to leave. She tried to sneak some rice or flour into her main source of nutrition, a broth made from canned vegetables. Or canned tomatoes. Not even vegetables. Canned tomato. Although the patients were usually separated from each other, they were all let out for a 4th of July celebration. 2 of them approached Margaret Conway and begged her to get them out the place, and saying they were prisoners. After Clara's death, the Hazards tried to brainwash Dora into believing that she was insane and unable to care for herself. They tried to get guardianship so that they could control Williamson's estate. Like I said, they were just swindlers. Conway was also noted that Dr. Hazard was wearing Clara's silk dressing gown and her favorite hat. She learned that Dorothea had given the Hazards power of attorney and helped themselves to some of her funds. When she announced to Dr. Hazard that she would be leaving and taking Dorothea with her, Dr. Hazard said Dorothea was not free to leave. The Hazards had obtained a legal guardianship of Dorothea. They explained that Dorothea would be spending the rest of her life with them, which probably would not be long. Conway sneaked off the property to cable the sister uncle to Portland, Oregon, and he came to rescue them. Dorothea now weighed 60 pounds. 60 pounds. The Hazards presented her with a bill for $2,000 and said that they would allow her to leave without some cash. Her uncle negotiated a smaller ransom. The British vice consul in Tacoma brought pressure to bear on Kitsap County to prosecute Hazard. When they said that they couldn't afford it, wealthy Dorothea Williamson offered to pay for the prosecution. In August 1911, Linda Hazard was arrested. The Tacoma Daily News headline said, "Officials expect to expose starvation as atrocities. Dr. Hazard depicted as fiend." Dr. Hazard said that she was being prosecuted because she was a successful woman, and that a cabal of traditional doctors resented her success and opposed natural cures. She had told reporters, "I intend to get on the stand and show up that bunch that have been playing checkers, but it's my move. I'll show them a thing or two when I get to the stand." Okay. Her lawyer kept her off the stand, but the judge admonished her for signaling to witnesses. Besides damning medical testimony, a complete paper trail, including a forged diary entire injury saying Clara wanted Linda Hazard to have her diamonds, made it clear the Hazards were crooks. Duh. Dr. Hazard had her defenders, including loyal staff members and patients. John Ivor Haglund testified that even though his wife, Daisy, had been Hazard's first Washington victim, he had faith in Dr. Hazard and had taken his little boy Ivor to her for treatment 3 times a week, even after his wife's death. comments. I understand this is a different time, but the sad part is people still fall for this. Like the whole freaking shots, immunizations cause autism. It's a bunch of bullshit. The jury, however, came back with a verdict of manslaughter. The press theorized that if she had been a man, the verdict would have been murder, probably. In 1912, she was convicted of manslaughter for the death of Clara Williamson, a wealthy British woman who weighed less than 50 pounds at the time of her death. That's only because they were able to afford to pursue it. At the trial, it was proven that Hazard had forged Williamson's will and stole most of her valuables. Williamson's sister, Dorothea, also took the treatment, and it alleged only survived because a family friend showed up in time to remove her from the compound. It is suggested that one of them managed to smuggle a telegram to alert the family. However, by the time of arrival, Claire had already died. Dorothea was too weak to leave on her own, weighing less than 60 pounds. She later testified against Hazard at trial. But that was a sight to see. Hazard was sentenced to 2 to 20 years in prison, which she served in the Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla, which is just not far from here, like 30 minutes away from where I live. There's some bad mofos in that place. Like, I don't know if it's a Green River Killer, but we've got several people. I think even Ted Bundy was there for a while. I don't know. But we've got a lot of people that are from the area and stuff that have all resided there that